Peace, 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 blessings, family, peace all, wherever you may be. Thank you taking time to tune in. So we're going to be talking today, like we always do, about some self-mastery, about some development, personal, spiritual, professional development to help inspire you, to help teach you, to help show you, to help guide you. And you is me and us all, because we have to be redundant with this information and program our conscious mind, but we're going to be helping to guide us to be the best versions of ourselves. This is what we do. So today we're going to be talking about empowering independence, unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit through self-mastery and discipline, right? Empowering independence, unleashing your entrepreneurial spirit through self-mastery and discipline, right? So let's hold on to the independence and let's see what independence really is and see, are we really independent and how we can get there, right? So we like to analyze things. We like to get down to the essence of them. So that's where we're at. And so now we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. Let's see, where am I at? All right. So empowering independence, unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit through self-mastery and discipline, right? And discipline, self-mastery and discipline. Okay. So now we see right here, this is a picture, Black Wall Street, right? A lot of us heard of Black Wall Street, but we have to think, what did it take for that many Black people in America to come together, right? To have thriving businesses, to work together, and to build a great community that flourished and produced so much wealth that the dollar circulated 100 times in a community. The dollar moving back and forth, empowering each other, right? What did it take? Because that's entrepreneurship, right? That's entrepreneurship at its finest. That's taking your abilities that are inside of you and finding out what you love to do. Because Black Wall Street, what did you have? You had movie theaters, you had hospitals, doctors, lawyers, schools, entertainment facilities, nightclubs, mechanic shops. You had everything that we have today as in a community, right? But what did it take? It took the entrepreneurial spirit. It took people that wanted to change their lives, right? People that seen a void and say, I can fill this void. And so that's what entrepreneurship is about, right? But most importantly, it takes discipline and self-mastery. Takes discipline and self-mastery, okay, to truly be independent. To truly be independent, it takes discipline and it takes self-mastery, right? Independence, definition, the state of wanting or being able to do things for yourself and make your own decisions without the help or influence from other people. That's independence, right? That's independence. Why does someone say, I want to quit my job? Why do people quit their jobs? Why did a lot of us quit our jobs? We wanted to be independent, right? We wanted to do something for yourself, okay? Yeah, you want to make money, but you want to make money the way you want to make it. You get tired of doing things according to somebody else's system, because that system is designed for the betterment of them, okay? So independence, the state of wanting or being able to do things for yourself, make your own decisions without the help or influence of other people. You want to be free. You want to be independent, right? You know, working a 9 to 5, working for someone all of the time, you don't have the freedom. You don't have the independence, right? You're not really standing on your own, okay? So a lot of us, we got to clear the junk out of our minds and embrace this entrepreneurial spirit and truly be independent. Stop running our business as if we still got shackles on us. Stop living our lives as if we still got shackles on us, okay? Make sure we got these shackles off of our brain, Okay. Because in nowadays, it would be self-imposed because we have too much information. We have access to too many resources to be living and acting in a non-independent state. Okay. Independence. So we have independence, as we all know, like, okay, that's to be free, that's to be independent. In America, you had the Declaration of Independence when America was freed from Great Britain, and they declared it. This is our freedom. We're independent. We don't need you no more, Great Britain. All right. And when you started your business, you say, look, job, I'm done. I'm free. I get to move as I want. I get to set my own hours. Right. Doesn't mean you don't have to work any hours. Some cases you're gonna have to work more hours than you did at the job, but you have the freedom and ability to do it because you're independent. But a lot of us are still in dependence, in a dependent state. Okay. So when you talk about a lot of people today, and a lot of them call themselves entrepreneurs, but the mindset has not shifted. So they are still in dependence, independency. They're in a dependent state. They're independence, right? They're not independent, they are independent. Independency, because what are you depending on? If you're running your business and you're depending on someone else to give you a loan, someone else to do something for you, you're not in a creative state, you're still in a dependent state. And that's why most businesses, they're over with in 6 months. I can't tell you how many people I talk to. They, oh yeah, I got an LLC. I started this business. And then they go through a little rough patch, 2, 3 months, and they're doing something else. Because they're in a dependent state. They have a dependent mind state. They're really dependent on somebody giving them something. So they're still acting and moving as a person with a job. They're still acting and moving by somebody who lets someone else control their time. They're really in a dependent state. What are they dependent on? They're dependent on the same set of knowledge and skills that they got in the school system. They haven't grown. So if you don't shift your mind and shift your thinking and start reading something you never read, start doing something you never do, though you don't have the right mentors, you're not studying anything that's going to develop you internally, your brain is still dependent on the information that's already been programmed and indoctrinated into you through the school system. So you're in a dependent state. You're still like that child, you're still like that baby. You're still dependent on that knowledge you got in grade school. You're still dependent on that knowledge that you got from your teacher who really was just following a curriculum. They really weren't motivating you. They really weren't inspiring you. They were following a system. So you're still in a dependent state because you're dependent on that information. And that information was not designed for the betterment of you. And if you watch the last video, we talked about power and we talked about systems and who created these systems, such as the education system, right? To keep you in a dependent state, to keep you in dependence, okay? So dependence is the state of relying on or being controlled by someone or something else. The state of relying on or being controlled by someone or something else. If you're a baby or babies, who are they dependent on? Their mothers, their fathers, right? The baby can't survive without the milk from the mother. When he gets a little older and is a toddler, can't survive without the food that's provided by the mother or the father. The baby is in a dependent state. Dependence. It relies and is controlled by someone or something else. And then what we do in society is we take our children, the parents who have control over the child because they're dependent on us, and they're depending on us to do what's best for them. But because so many of us are in a dependent state, we're relying on somebody else. We take our children and we put them in the same junk that we went through because the mind is still dependent on a master. Okay? Whoever programmed you and put that set of junk in your head that produced this non-fulfilled life so many people are living, poverty, debt, can't produce any wealth, don't understand money has to move, don't understand investments, have no financial literacy, don't control where you eat, don't control your water, don't control the land, you have no ownership. You're in a dependent state. You're in a dependent state. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or not. If you ain't controlling what I just labeled, and you ain't controlling where you lay in your head, you're still dependent. Okay? So I'm talking about becoming independent, getting out of the state of dependency, which is the state of relying on or being controlled by someone or something else. All right? So your children relying on you, but who are you relying on? Where are you getting your knowledge from? Right? Are you developing yourself? Because if you're not developing, you're operating off the same system of programming. It's just like a computer, right? We got to clear it off and put new software in there. We got to upgrade the software. Your brain has to be upgraded. If not, you're going to be dependent on that old knowledge, right? How many people do you know been to prison? They get out. If they have not upgraded in the time they were incarcerated, and the upgrade is internal, if they haven't done any type of self-work on themselves, if they haven't read anything that shifted them, if they haven't been studying anything that shifted them, what happens? The brain, the mind is dependent on the old set of knowledge that's already in its head. And when they get out of prison, they go right back to the same neighborhood. It's a programming. It's a mental programming. And so many entrepreneurs do the same thing. They go through tough times at the beginning of the business, and the first thing they want to do is tuck their tail and run because they're going off of the old programming. The old programming says, yeah, I go just get a job and I ain't got to worry about nothing. I ain't got to do no management. I ain't got to manage people. I don't have to do that. And if that's what you want to do, then do that. Then entrepreneurship is not for you. But understand, when you do that, you are in a dependent state. You are depending on whoever owns that business, whatever corporation. You're depending on them to maintain the business. You have no say-so. You're just like that baby. You're just going there and you're hoping mom comes in with the breast to breastfeed you, hoping you have a good mother. You're just crying, right? And a lot of us live our lives just like that. We go from job to job. Oh, they shut down over here, and we just go and then we jump to somebody else. Never doing anything for ourselves, because we're dependent on the knowledge that we was programmed or given in school, right? So we got to get out of dependency. Okay, Marcus Garvey. Love Marcus Garvey. He said something. He said, any leadership that teaches you to depend on another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend on another race is a leadership that will enslave you, right? They gave leadership to our ancestors, and that leadership made them slaves. Now, how does that apply to you today, right? In a mental slavery aspect. You think about that school system, right? If you depend on another man, if you're taught to depend on another man, woman, whatever, you will become a slave because you will become so dependent on them. And that's why when we went through the whole school system, it is a system that psychologically controls you and it moves you to the next set. It was designed by men that had an agenda, right? But in today, we have the opportunity more than ever to study ourselves and decide what we want to do. We're free. We must act like free people. If not, you will be a slave in a pretty way. Yeah, ain't nobody whipping you or beating your back. but you're being whipped with taxes, right? You're being whipped with crime because you can't move out of the neighborhood that you're living in. You're being whipped with drugs and chaos, right? That's affecting your children. That's affecting us. And then the crime starts to affect everyone. We're being whipped with poor education, being whipped and just taking it, living in dependency when entrepreneurship should free you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend on another race is a leadership that will enslave you. You can take that word race out and say man. If you're dependent on another man, you will be a slave, right? Think about it. Self-reliance. So we're talking about empowering independence, unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit through self-mastery and discipline. That's what we're talking about. You have to understand self-reliance and become self-reliant. Self-reliant, the ability and practice of relying on oneself for one's needs, decisions, and actions rather than depending on others or external factors. Self-reliance, relying on yourself. You know why people don't want to be self-reliant? It takes discipline. It takes ownership and responsibility. When you make a mistake, you ain't got nobody to blame, right? You blame yourself. But when you win or when you win big or something goes right, accept that credit. You have the power. You have to become self-reliant. So in order to develop your entrepreneurial mind, shifting your mindset as you're on this journey of entrepreneurship, the journey of entrepreneurship for the massively successful is really about self-mastery and discipline. You'll find your most successful people aren't the most book smart people, but they are disciplined. They understand what discipline is, and they practice self-mastery. In modern terms, people use the term personal development, but they're developing themselves, the internal aspects of themselves, developing the mind, developing the brain. The brain is a muscle, just like the muscles in your arms. You can work out all day and buff your body up, but if you ain't working this, you're going to be a strong, stupid person. And a strong, stupid person is going to be dependent on, could be the skinniest little nerdy looking guy in the world, but he controls what time you go to work, when you get off, if you can take a vacation, if your child got a class recital or something and you want to go, he controls if you go or not because he worked his mind, right? So we're talking about being self-reliant, the ability and practice of relying on oneself for one's needs, decisions, and actions, rather than depending on external factors. The power is in you. The power is in you. Man only has one problem. He forgot who he is. You got to really grasp, you're really not a man. You're a spiritual being in here. You're a thinking being called a sentient being, a being that can think. You ain't a dog, a cat, or none of these animals out here. You have a mind. You can take what you have and you can create whatever you desire, right? But you have to take the ownership, self-reliance, realize you have the power, rely on yourself. Stop relying on other men and women outside of you because they're going to let you down. But really you let yourself down when you depend on somebody else. So it's not really the people that let you down, you let yourself down. Because you're supposed to depend on yourself and your own decisions. You're supposed to be a man, a woman, a free person, think and act like it. Self-reliance leads to freedom and empowerment. And once you are free and you are empowered, you become resilient. So then it leads to resilience. Freedom, empowerment, and resilience. Once you become self-reliant, we're talking about this journey, this path, of inspiring entrepreneurial spirit through self-mastery and discipline. Self-reliance will lead to freedom, empowerment, and then resilience. Freedom, empowerment, resilience. What does that really mean? So if I rely on myself, Then I experience freedom. What does that mean? Freedom, right? You to shoot for the stars, to take your family wherever you want to go, right? And if you have a family, you're the leader. Whether they're going to be free is based on you. If you're in a dependent state and you have a dependent mindset, you're going to pass that on to your children. But once you become self-reliant and you say, guess what? I control what comes in this house, not just the food, I'm talking about the information, and you control it. Then you start breeding people that can handle generational wealth, that can not only maintain it, they can produce more. You start controlling and teaching your own. You grasp what spirituality is. You grasp the garbage that we were given in society. You're able to be free and utilize the good things that you got from school, and you're able to free yourself and expand your horizons, and that's freedom, the ability to do what you want, right? But there's responsibility in freedom, because you can do what you want, but there's consequences for our actions, right? But you have the power. That's the freedom that's produced once you really realize and become self-reliant, right? So let's get deeper. Let's make sure we're analyzing it. So freedom, all right, self-reliance grants you the freedom to live life on your own terms by being self-sufficient and independent. You're no longer constrained by the opinions, expectations, or limitations imposed by others. So self-reliance brings you the freedom. Why? Because guess what? You take the ceiling off. And if we're talking money, uh, and inflation is going on, and a gallon of milk or the water costs more than what it cost last month, you are relying on yourself not to just conform or accept what happened into society. You can adapt to it, but more than an adaptation, you can create more income because you're free. You're not confined to getting just paid by the hour. You can take your hourly wages and invest it in something that's going to produce another stream of income. So you got to think and act like a free person. You don't get into business and just take the same mindset, because you're dependent on that system that programmed you. You got to be free, right? You're not bound by the opinions and expectations of others. So if someone says, well, I don't see you making that kind of money, I don't see how you can do it, you don't have to live by that. That's how we've lived our whole lives, controlled by somebody else, right? So we got to think and act free. We're not limited anymore, okay? We have the power to do what we want for ourselves, and that leads to the empowerment. Self-reliance empowers you to take control of your life and be the driver of your own destiny. It gives you a sense of ownership and responsibility for your actions and outcomes. When you are self-reliant, you have the confidence and skills to face challenges head on, overcome obstacles, and achieve your goals. This empowerment enables you to tap into your full potential, unleash your creativity, and make a positive impact on your own life and the lives of others. It empowers you. You come to that reality once you become self-reliant, that I do have the power. What I have is enough to get started at whatever I want to do, right? You study the most powerful people on the planet that ever existed. The main belief they had was belief in themselves, right? Belief in themselves, okay? People want to say always, God, believe in God, believe in God, believing in a God they never seen, but don't believe in themselves, and they look at themselves in the mirror. If you're here, then God exists. The fact that you're here right now, God exists. And if you can look in the mirror and say, God exists, well, that which created me exists. So that God is inside of me, or else you would not be existing. So you have the power of God in you. But what do you do with the power? How do you take it when a problem comes? Do you tuck your tail and cry and whine? Or do you suck it up and say, if I messed it up, then I can fix it? That's the power. That's the empowerment. If you want to produce large sums of wealth, you understand you have the power. There's no limit on you. You're not an animal. You are a spiritual, mental being. But you got to move and act like it. We're acting like animals. We're taking orders. We're waiting for other people to feed us. We're waiting for other people to solve our problems. That's the problem that religion has placed on people, right? They've taken God out of man. God is in you as a man or a woman. You got the ability to change your circumstances, right? You have that power, right? No man doesn't decide what you can or cannot do. If you want to fix your life, fix your life. Fix it, right? You got that power. You got that ability. It's inside of you. Ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Okay. And if you're listening to outside sources that telling you what you can't do, you will always get nothing done because you're giving your power. Your power is your thought and your attention, right? Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if I keep listening or giving my attention to people that tell me what I can't do, all my energy is going into lack and I'm going to get nothing done. I'm going to get more of the same. Start listening to people telling you what you can do, right? And if you in a do nothing belief system or a form of religion that tells you you can't have this or you can't have that, throw that in the garbage because that's not what the scripture says. Throw that junk in the garbage and get away from them people. So if you're a person that, you're into the Bible, Quran, whatever scripture you're into, whoever's interpreting it, if they're interpreting it and telling you you can't have anything and you can't do anything, get away from those people. Because people have taken those books and produced slaves. And people say, well, how in the heck were we slaves for 400 years? Because we had the wrong people interpreting the scripture for us in some aspects, right? The other things produce that slavery also. But what I'm saying is you are free. You have the ability to think and research on your own and get your own understanding. Study to show yourself approved. And all that you do, that's what a self-reliant person does. That means I'm going to utilize what I have. What the heck do you have a brain and a mind and you ain't using it? Right? Why do so many not utilize what we was given? What's yours that no man can take from you, right? What is that? Freedom, self-reliance, empowerment, resilience. Self-reliance fosters resilience, which is the ability to bounce back from setbacks and adapt to change. Resilience. What's resilient mean? In business, you're going to go through some problems. You're going to lose some money sometime. You're going to have people that say they were going to be down for you. They're going to walk away from you, right? But you got to be resilient. And that resilience comes with this internal aspects of you mastering yourself. Know thyself, right? This ain't nothing new. This is ancient knowledge that was hidden from people, right? Hidden from you, hidden from me, hidden from us. It's simple. You got to master yourself. You got to know yourself. To know yourself is to know who and what you are. Not who people call you, but who and what you are. What are you? You're a spiritual being. You're a mental being first inside a shell. Understand and master the mind, master your thinking, control your thoughts, stop giving your attention to things that will not produce the results you want in life. Know yourself, self-master. Realize the power that you have inside of you, right? You're as rich as you want to be because you was born with unlimited ability and potential. You was born rich and wealthy. If I give somebody a blank check and say you can have as much as you want, it's blank. You get to write the check every day. You was born with a blank check, unlimited, but you got to do your part, right? So when you study in self-mastery, You got to analyze the stuff that they gave you in these systems, right? Right? You know, ask and the answer will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open. But guess what? Is somebody giving you something? No, you got to ask. You have to get involved. You have to ask, right? You have to seek, right? You ain't going to find nothing if you don't seek it, right? If you don't knock on the doors will never be open. If you're in business and you, oh man, I can't get no finance, I can't get this, but you ain't knocking on enough doors, right? You got to get involved, right? Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. If you ain't doing nothing, and doing nothing is doing the same that you've been doing last year and the year before, that equals out to nothing because it can't get you more. You have to do more. Well, I read this, read more. I research. Research means to search again. Keep searching. You keep searching until you die, right? So know thyself. And once you really start to study and master self, you get to the essence of things. Essence, a property, a group of properties of something without which it would not exist or be what it is. Okay. The essence is a property or group of properties of something without which it would not exist or be what it is. What is the essence of you? If I ask anybody, how did I get here? Well, if I say, if you ask, if I go on the street and say, how'd you get here? How'd you wake up this morning? Most people are going to say, God, right? They're going to say, God. You woke up because of God. That's what most people are going to say. But if I ask them, man, why you in poverty? Why you always at the soup line? Why you always trying to get something for free? Why you always trying to get this? Why you always begging? Why you always doing that? Man, you don't understand. I've been going through things. But you say God wakes you up every day. That's the essence of you. But when you go through hardship, you blame it on somebody else. But if you have the essence of you as God, if the essence of your existence is God, if the essence of the water existing, you say, well, God. If I say the dirt, you say, well, that's because God made it. What about the dogs and the cats? Well, God made them. So the essence of everything is God. That's what we've been taught, right? But when you really, let's get deeper into that. If the essence of everything is God and you exist, what is your essence? Your essence is God. And if your essence is God, what can't you do? Because if I ask somebody what God can't do, man, God can do anything. Well, if the essence of you is God, what can't you do? You can do anything once you realize who and what you are and your essence. And you realize the power ain't out there, it's inside here. Then we start to really be an entrepreneur and fix the problems, not just of your neighborhood, but of the world. But it starts in your household first. The root word of economics really comes from the Latin and the Greek, and it's oikonomia, and it means household management. Research it, look it up. Once you understand your essence, there's nothing that you can't do. Nothing that you can't do. The essence of you is divinity. That's what entrepreneurship should be, right? A journey, self-mastery, wealth, everything that you want, right? Marcus Garvey again. God and nature first made us what we are. And then out of our own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. Let the sky and God be our limit and eternity our measurement. There is no height to which we cannot climb by using the active intelligence of our own minds. The active intelligence, the moving, it got to be activated. It got to be moving, right? Out of your own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. This is what entrepreneurship is. I don't know what these other folks teaching you. They just teaching you garbage and selling you pipe dreams and like you just gonna get rich overnight. No, it's about experience. It's about going through stuff. It's about self-study, self-mastery, working, developing your mind, understanding what management is, helping people become the best version of themselves. And in the process, you become the best version of yourself. But it takes discipline. And discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and follow through with it. Okay? That's what discipline is. The ability to give yourself a command and follow through with it. Discipline is not just whooping somebody. Oh, you've been bad over there, I'm gonna discipline him, right? That's what we've been programmed. But we're talking about you being disciplined. Remember, we said the most successful people are the ones that understand and they can discipline themselves. The ability to give yourself a command and follow through with it. You give yourself the command. There's no power outside of you. The power is in you, so you give yourself the command, right? The power is in you, okay? You become a follower or disciple to your word. Let's make it simple. If you say, I'm going to lose weight, whatever amount of pounds you're going to lose, you have to realize you have to get involved, right? You can't just pray every day, I want to lose weight, because faith without works is dead. So you got to say, well, I'm going to go to the gym every other day for 1 hour. If you do that and if you're on the treadmill, you do that over a period of time, you commanded yourself what you need to do in order to get what you want. You're the one that wants to lose the weight, so you have to get involved and you have to give yourself a command. The command you gave yourself was, I'm going every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Once you follow through with it the next week, you say, wow, I actually did Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You know, I'm disciplined in what I want to do. Business is exactly the same. You want to start your business from scratch, right? And make X amount of dollars. First, there's a set of things you have to do. You say, well, I got to go get this legal paperwork, whatever. Then I got to be at this meeting and I have to do that, right? You discipline is when you following through. And so the next week you can say, this is what I needed to do. Did I do it? I'm disciplined, right? So you give yourself that command. Now, if the next week comes, you say, man, I knew I was supposed to go to the gym. I was supposed to go to that meeting. I wrote it down. What is the results you're going to have? You're not going to be happy and you're not going to get what you want because you wasn't disciplined. You couldn't even follow your own word. You become a follower or disciple to your word. What you want to do in life. You was given the power and freedom to decide what you want to do in life, right? You see, I remember being a little boy in Bible study class, and I remember they was like, well, the Lord is no respecter of a person. You could be a doctor, you could be this or that. What's that really mean? It's on you. You get to do what you want. I mean, you can be what you want, right? But what you will become is based on the word that you put out. What you put out is going to decide who and what you become. So you become a follower or disciple to your word, what you say you want to do. When I'm coaching people, I always say, what do you want to do? And we write it down. Da, 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 da. And I help them stay true to their word, true to their self. So when they fail, you failed yourself. Okay? Self-reliance. So discipleship. Discipleship involves learning discipline, meaning instruction, rigorous training, or mastery of a body of knowledge and skill. Because such discipline was often administered with a firm hand, the term came to be synonymous with correction or punishment. But its root meaning is instruction or training. So discipleship, the root meaning of discipleship means instruction or training, right? Instruction, rigorous training, or mastery of a body of knowledge and skill. So if you give the command is your word, you become committed to the instruction or training of whatever you want to do, you become a disciple to your word, right? Probably give some people a whole new way to look at when you think about what you were taught about disciples. There were people that could follow rigorous instruction or training. You have to do it with yourself, with your word. You got to make a commandment to yourself that I'm going to do this. This is how the successful people get what they want. And the reason why most people don't get what they want, because they ain't never committed to nothing. They ain't even never made goals. They don't have a word. They go off the word of everybody else. They always telling you, oh, I heard this or that. I heard that. You tell them, I want to do this. Well, I heard. You heard a lot, but you ain't done nothing, right? What are you committed to, right? We talk so much, oh, Black Wall Street. I get sick of hearing people talk about it because they ain't studied it. Embody the essence of entrepreneurship. Embody the essence of what our ancestors did in the greatness that they did, building a community. Build your home first. Be the man, be the woman, be the leader of your household through self-mastery. Be a true entrepreneur and let finances shift your whole life. Provide for people other than yourself. Provide service, right? If you're in business, serve others. Serve others. Okay. So on your entrepreneurial journey, your journey is self-mastery and discipline. It's understanding that you ain't gonna get nothing if you don't get involved, but you got the keys. You are the essence. The essence of you is unlimited. The essence of you, for lack of a better word, is God. You cannot exist without that power inside of you. If the power is inside of you, tap into it. First, realize it's inside of you. And then when you tap into it, you'll create and produce the life that you want, right? When you see people and you're like, wow, they're living this fabulous life, this or that, do some research. Let's read on their stories, what they went through. They went through obstacles. They went through struggles, right? This is what happens in business. But if you stay committed, you stay free, you stay doing what you want to do, and you stay committed to it and empowered and be resilient. Wow. That's all I could say. It's no limit. So I thank you. I will see you again. Masternomics. Subscribe to the YouTube if you have not subscribed. Please subscribe. We can reach more people. Share the information. Share it with somebody to help them grow. Okay? This is a community that is here to elevate. So I love you. Share the information. Subscribe to the YouTube. Check out all the information that we have to offer. I'll see you again. Peace.